Stop talking.
Yeah, if we're out here by 7:30, you're gonna buy drinks.
It only works if we all work together.
Teamwork makes the.
I just
That
want to
means
see
you
if
all
he's
need
got
to
a
zip
credit
it.
card.
Zip it.
I like it.
Huh?
All right, let's
I'm
start.
in.
I think I do.
Dennis,
Yeah.
let's start this show.
Okay.
Thank you.
Meeting called to order, 5:16. Roll call.
Trustee Henderson,
Here.
trustee Brady,
Here.
trustee Pinkerton. Here. Trustee Wood.
Here.
And trustee Parkley.
Here.
Student trustee Holton.
Present.
Superintendent President Walker.
Here.
Yeah, you talked about this yesterday.
That wasn't the credit card I was talking about.
What?
That wasn't the credit card I was talking
Yeah,
about.
There
we
wasn't
can
a
get
credit
that
card?
handled after the meeting.
You just want me to buy drinks with it?
No, with your own.
And we are live, so no.
Pledge of allegiance, who wants to lead?
That's an open session.
Huh? Oh, it's an open.
What you want right now
Oh,
is
yeah.
public comments.
Oh, yeah, public comments. Let me just back up.
None.
I got jumped ahead. Public comments related to closed session items.
There are none.
Anybody?
No.
Adjourn to
No?
closed session.
Recess to closed session.
5:17.
Recess.
I forgot.
I remember recess
I
when
get
I
to
was in
talk.
school.
It's the only subject.
Couldn't wait for recess. Yep. We could run around.
What are your names again?
Trustee Henderson?
Right.
Here.
Trustee Brady?
Here?
Trustee Pinkerton?
Here.
Trustee Wood?
Here.
Trustee Tarpley?
Here.
Trustee Bolton?
Present. Why is mine loud?
Here.
You should just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Mr. Pinkerton, can you lead us in the pledge?
My honor.
Would you do it? Thank you.
Let's
Pledge allegiance
to the
to the
greatest
flag.
country in the history of the world. I gotta do this like Joe Brady.
Yeah, there you go.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here, here. Right.
John, to correct you, it's Joseph W., but for you, it's Joe. President Henderson, is Pastor Brian here?
Pastor Brian.
There he is.
There he
You
is.
are. I won't say what you told me to say. You want to come up and lead us in the invocation? And thank you
I wanna hear
for,
what he told
I
you.
know. What did you
I
say?
can't tell you what he told me.
You should tell us.
I can't.
I'm actually
But he
not-
could tell you what he told me.
Sure. I'm actually not a pastor. Our pastor is Rick Stone Street. I'm on here on his behalf. His mother passed away. He had to travel.
Oh, that's true.
But I'll do my best.
We all can pray. It's fine. You don't
That's
have to
good.
be a pastor to lead a prayer.
Yes, I was on a wee adventure on another building. Thankfully, the staff was so kind to actually escort me over here, so that was a blessing. So thank you. But
Was it the cops?
Franco.
That'd be nice, huh? Well, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you excited for the meeting tonight because we know that we have hope and we will have victory because of who you are. Lord, you are on the throne in heaven, and Lord, we look to you tonight because you hear us and you are the giver of wisdom. Lord, I pray that you would anoint this place, Lord, with your presence, Lord, that you would give these men and women great wisdom as leaders in this community, that we might have good success. Father, I pray that you would also bless the family of Mrs. Cherie Range, Lord, that you would give them comfort and grace, Lord, as she went home to be with you. I pray that you would just continue to enable us to focus on what's really important. Pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. Just President Henderson, if I can announce this, Joe Range, who was a long time was on the board here with Dennis, and I'm eternally grateful for his, I think, 13 motions that helped me become a trustee. Cherie, his wife, has been sick for years and she passed away. Her celebration of life will be on Saturday the 28th at 9:30 in the morning at Sunset Hills. And then they'll have a burial at 11 o'clock and a celebration of life at 12 o'clock. So if you can, I'm sure Joe would like to see you. He did a lot of great things here in our one-stop building out in front of something I think about every time I see him, so.
All right, closed session report out.
Are you on, Jeff?
Good evening. Thank you, President Henderson. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah, a little better
Yes.
than in there.
Oh, okay, good. The board met in closed session. All 5 members were present. Closed session began at 5:23 p.m. On item 2.1 on a motion by Trustee Tarpley with a second by Trustee Pinkerton. The motion was to terminate the part-time faculty member. That motion passed 5-0. On item 2.2, on a motion by Trustee Wood with a second by Trustee Tarpley, the motion was to terminate part-time faculty member. That motion passed 5-0. On item 2.3, that was conference with real property negotiator. An update was provided. There's no reportable action. Closed session concluded at 5:37 p.m. And that completes the report out for closed session this evening.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
On 3.5, there are no items to delete or be corrected from the agenda.
Is there any items deleted,
No, I just said there's not.
corrected? No? Okay. Public comments related to non-agenda items? None? Board of Trustee goals.
It's Henderson, Wood, and Tarpley trustees. Henderson, Wood, and Tarpley
Yeah. Henderson, Wood, and
law firm.
No.
Tarpley want to go first?
Sure.
I'm still looking for mine.
So my goal is board goal number 4, monitor the fiscal health of the college with the goal of maintaining a minimum of 16.7% reserve. We are reviewing the audit reports. We were provided audit reports for review last week. We will be receiving a presentation and taking a vote to accept these audit reports today. And these actions are in direct support of board goal number 4. Thank you. You're up, Wood.
Wood?
I'm up, all right. So goal 3, to demonstrate commitment to support and improve the student outcomes. So I think everybody in this room probably knows about the Rambassadors and the VVC camp. So Edward Alvarez, the director of admissions, hats off to him for always looking for better ways to do things different, is doing both the camp where people will be in one location and then also putting people on golf carts. And the people will be running around on golf carts, just kind of mobile, out kind of hunting down people who need help and passing out maps and directions and doing the wonderful things that Rambassadors do. Apparently Sewell's not on board, or he's mad that he didn't get a golf cart.
He's not even listening to
You
you.
didn't get a golf cart? He's making faces, so yeah, he's just bitter that he didn't get a golf cart.
Hey, report on goal 2.
Don't give him a golf cart no matter what now. We had one for you, but now you're not getting it. It was getting painted. But now?
Are you done?
He's never done.
We're gonna give you a golf cart.
So look out for the golf carts. If you see one coming, get out of the way.
Run
You
for
don't
the
wanna get run
hills.
down by a golf cart.
Oh my gosh, we get it.
Okay. Goal 2.
Oh, before you go on, I want to augment Trustee Wood's goal, because this goal that the board has, even though they report out on a goal, it's not that individual trustee's goal, it's the board's goal. And since this goal is to demonstrate a commitment to supporting and improving student outcomes, including enrollment, retention strategies to maintain FTS, you all know that we are up 20% for the fall. And right now, at least the last numbers I got, we were up in the winter 26%. And spring was showing in the 30% range, but that's still kind of early to lock on to that. But that's good news. The other thing, in regard to retention, we won. There's only one award given each year for the John W. Rice Award in the state of California. And Victor Valley Community College District won the award this year. And I'm going to be taking a couple of staff and a student with me,
And a golf cart.
and we're going, when are we going? Huh?
Where we going?
The 24th, to the award ceremony in Sacramento. To receive this award, the student and myself will have 5 minutes to speak. I'm going to give most of my time to the student, and we picked that student today. Dr. Scott had interviewed several, I think maybe around 8.
Do we get to know who it is?
Yeah, can you tell us who that person is?
Todd, can you tell us?
He forgot.
Madeline Carrillo.
And so, tell them a little bit about the student, a little bit what you shared with me.
She is a homeschool student that came to Victor Valley College. She, I took the self-assessment and went in with that self-assessment, met with one of our wonderful counselors, Lorena Dorn, who said she was a little trepid about going into Math 105, it's algebra. If you can do this, we went to Math 105, got an A. She's a 4.0 student in engineering, and she is on her way, or will be on her way to Cal Poly Pomona for an engineering degree. She's into taking physics and high-level math and engineering courses as we speak, and business courses, so very successful student, and as Dr. Walden and I went down to Cal Poly Pomona, and the president said, all students from the high desert, regardless of whether the program is impacted or not, we're gonna take them.
Yes.
So I told that student, I handed her my card, and I said, if you have any problems getting to Cal Poly Pomona, you let me know. We're gonna get you in there, so. A great example of yet another successful student here that's gonna go on and do great things, and she's gonna do a wonderful job at representing us in Sacramento.
So I just think this is a milestone along the way to celebrate where we're headed toward this Aspen Prize. And on our journey, we were given this award for which we did not apply, nor were we nominated, but simply because we rose to the top when they ran the data that we had improved over the last 4 years, the number of students completing transfer level English by 26%, and those completing transfer level math, their first time taking it, first year, by 45%. And that's just phenomenal. And when they interviewed us, Todd, myself, Amy Asul, and Lorena Dorn, that was part of the process, as well as the data, was the interview. And of course, that was a great power team, and they made us look really good. So I just think we need to celebrate the fact that we got this award. We're going to go up there and receive it and bring it back to you at the next board meeting and let you see it and pass it around and
Wow.
just
Cool.
celebrate with us. Because it's the board's goal and the college's mission, and it's everybody on board. But tonight, we have people at the back, like here from financial aid, from outreach, from A&R, and it's those folks with the feet on the ground, there's people all over this room that are making the difference, and that's why this is happening. And so, just kudos to Victor Valley College, and that just kind of goes with your goal, so I wanted to throw that in there.
Don't say it.
I do think when you start winning awards too, you get noticed, right?
Oh, yeah.
Benefactors, Mackenzie Scott, all of them start seeing all that, and I think more awards and more money flows from that.
People
Well
like to
said.
be on the winning team.
We want Mackenzie Scott to notice this.
No, I mean, it's absolutely right. Success breeds success. That's the way it works.
Very cool. You guys are always amazing.
Okay, board study session, student success and
Goal
equity.
two.
Your goal?
Goal 2?
Oh, my goal, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
My goal. We will be having a study session on student success and equity right now. And we will be voting on the 22 through 25 student equity plan this evening. Both of these things support goal number 2, which includes promoting, nurturing, and supporting the college efforts to ensure implementation of the California Community College Chancellor's Office vision on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Are you ready for my report?
And we're ready for your,
Okay, so when the board retreat was held last summer.
What did you call it?
The board, and they analyzed their goals from the previous year, created the goals for this year. And one of the things they asked for is that at least twice during the year, we would have a study session in a board meeting. And so tonight, there's a team of people that have prepared. Jenny's going to kick it off here. And basically, we all know the board needs to know what we're doing. I mean, we do the how, how we get it done. That's done by the college, the employees, the administration. But the board needs to know what the college looks like, what's happening at the college, and how are we dealing with the challenges that we're facing. And so with that, we want this to be a learning experience for our board so that when you're out in the community or when you're taking action on items in front of you, that you have this background knowledge about our students, who they are, how they're doing, and so on. And I'm going to let her go through all the questions, but we will, this is an attempt to let you know what.
Yeah, I didn't really get you equipped with the messages you need to show your constituents that you're in touch with what we're doing, who our students are, et cetera. So you were emailed kind of the background information to refresh your memories. I have copies. If you don't have them with you, would you like those?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Deanne, if you could. So as some key terms pop up, if you've got questions, you need a refresher, just let me know. There will be a couple things we'll bring up, but I think we'll get through most of this in a way that'll help you really understand the answer to these 4 questions, okay? Who are our students? How are they doing? How are we doing on equity? And what are we doing for equity? So if there are any, if you had any questions about the material we sent you beforehand, we can try to address them now or try to embed them in the presentation, I think is the best strategy. Yes? Okay, great. Thanks, Jen, for nodding.
You're welcome.
So let's talk about who our students are. Take a look at some demographics in terms of gender, age, race, and ethnicity, and then compare them to our service area and see what that looks like. So as of fall 22, we've got gender, age, race, ethnicity. What kind of pops to you there on the gender piece? Some of you have seen the gender breakout in past years. It's been closer to 50-50. This is quite remarkable, is it not?
It is.
You recall, Brandon's like, no, I expected it, right? Seriously. You'll recall when we talked, go ahead, please.
It's the trend. Look at medical schools, law schools, all like postgraduate degree programs. Even medical school, I think medical schools nationwide rolled to a woman-dominated student body 4 years ago.
So not even
5
just
years
like
ago.
51-49, you're talking really significant differences like we have here?
No, it's just that the girls outnumbered the boys for the first time
For the
ever,
first
and
time.
that's held. My law school class 20-something years ago was the first class, the first year in the history of law ever that girls outnumbered boys. And we were, I mean,
Oh.
it was like 50.6 to, right?
Just
It was
barely,
slightly,
right.
but up until that day, or that year, historically, the boys had always outnumbered the girls, like forever, historically. So I was the first class where it changed. The numbers it's continued to grow since then, and that was 20 years ago in my law school class, 24 years ago. So it doesn't surprise me at all that's where we're at.
So
60-40.
age-wise, in the last few years, pre-COVID, I would say 5-6 years ago, it was more like 26 years of age was the median age. So we're skewing younger, we're skewing female, and we're skewing increasingly Hispanic. You'll recall when we went over the student surveys, how I told you that the oversampled young women of color. Well, this is why. You know, it's just what our students look like most recently in the fall. So when we compare it to our service area, and this would just be the top 5, 6 cities, the usual in the
Can you go
MSA.
back, Jenny?
Yeah, sure.
I just want to make sure we point out that, because we talked about gender, but the age, the median age, which means 50% above, 50% below, is 24. And then if you just, what pops out on the race ethnicity is 63.7%. In fall 22 were Hispanic. And 19, is it 18.3%?
18.3.
White, and 9.7 Black or African American. And then you get to multiple races and then smaller percentages.
Yeah, the
So how
remaining,
does that compare to the area now?
the service area, right. Service area is, because the numbers are so large, are more 50-50 when it comes to males, females, right? More equally matched. Age, or, in the past, we some of those bars of over 40, 50, and 60, because it was a retirement community way back when, right, Joe? It's skewing a lot younger up here too now. And Joe, you see these kind of data all the time. I was surprised that Census 2020 showed us skewing younger overall in the service area.
If my memory serves me right, 10 years ago, wasn't the median age in here 31?
Yeah,
So it was correct. Yeah.
just in my time, 16 years in this position, it's gone from, upper 20s, 30s to 24, I think is the youngest that we've seen. And we know it's been trending younger, but when I calculated it for this round, it was surprising. And then again, Hispanic, Latino, 50% of our population up here in the high desert. That is not surprising to any of us who live here. So, bottom line, who are our students? Females are overrepresented here at the college by 11 points. 8 points overrepresented for our Hispanic students. Our African American students, though, underrepresent our service area. That's going to be important later on when we talk a little bit about some of our strategies. Median age, again, is skewing a couple years younger than it was 5, 6 years ago. STEM, as Dr. Scott indicated, is her name Madeline? STEM is becoming increasingly more popular. Fall 22, when I just very quickly took a look at what's the most popular school, it's the STEM programs that are really increasing in their popularity. Our graduates last year, I finally looked this up, Todd, were mostly female, in their 20s, Hispanic, in the Education Society Human Services pathway. The reason why is the ADT growth. They get certified on meeting the general ed pattern. So every time we issue a certificate of meeting that pattern, it shows as an increase in that certificate. So that means our ADT numbers are also increasing. I just want to point out, this is one of our nursing graduates recently. Her name is Isabel. And when I explained to my son who our students were, that's who he drew.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. She's a friend of ours, his. And he is one of our art graduates, just so you know. So now you know who our students are. Let's take a look at how they're doing. So we're going to focus just on gender, race, and ethnicity because we really didn't find any significant changes across the age groups that were meaningful for us in the work that we're doing to create strategies to close gaps. So we're just going to look at degrees and certificates awarded, success rates, and retention across gender and ethnicity groups. So collapsing the last 3 years, we included COVID on purpose because we wanted you to see what the effects might have been. And what are you noticing? Look at how many more males. Now you can't see this. I wonder why the bottom's not showing. But that first set of columns is, go back. That first set of columns is the certificates. Go all the way back. I'm caught in a loop, Malia. This is what you didn't want to happen. Okay, degrees and certificates. I wonder why when I hone in there. Oh.
There you go.
Okay, let's do it that way. That first set of data is certificates, and the red bar is males. So you can see they're so much more popular with our male students, whereas the females are absolutely dominating all the other awards. When it comes to ethnicity differences, I don't know why it's, okay, there we go. So I've got it sorted by which group had the most awards, and it's our Hispanic Latino students, and then followed by our white non-Hispanic students, and then Black African American, 2 or more races. And the color bars there, you can see, once again, it shows how popular certificates are across the groups, and that our Hispanic Latino students, particularly in the last couple of years, really completed in huge numbers. Okay, and let's look at overall course success now. So for success rates, we're going to be looking at the comparison of our overall course success rates to something called the institution set standard. The accreditors have our academic senate set those every year, so we can sort of gauge our performance against a low threshold. It says if we fall below that low standard, we've got to kick things into action and get something done. So the comparisons you'll see here are based on what's called the ISS, Institution Set Standard. So the way that this bar works is anything in the red or left that's gray is actually plotting the difference between the success rate for that category and the ISS. Our floor for course success is 64%. If something falls below that number, we kick into action and we try to create strategies to improve that. So for our females, you're looking at almost 2 points higher than the floor. Males are also 2 points higher. The unknown, unreported category for gender is significantly lower than our floor for success rate. Those numbers tend to be much smaller, but they're increasing over the last few years. Students not reporting their gender is an increasing trend that we're starting to see. So in terms of race or ethnicity, you can see that the groups that tend to have the most problems in terms of falling below the ISS are, again, that new category that's increasingly larger of I'm not going to report my race or ethnicity, and our African American students. This is a persistent gap over time, which we'll be talking about a little bit more later. So they are 8 points below the floor. Okay, finally, for retention rates, we'll be looking at gender, race, and ethnicity. And the retention that we follow is if they finished in the fall and moved to the spring, how many of those students actually come back? And then we look at fall to fall, taking out the people who actually finished in the spring. And then finally fall to that second spring, which is the highest percentage of students are going to finish then. If they're a full-time student, we really want them to progress all the way to that second spring. So in terms of gender, the overall initial fall to spring retention rate is 57%. We're not happy with that, obviously. And you'll see in the summary the number of students that we lost and some of the strategies we implemented to try and bring those students back. Keep in mind, this was during the COVID years, okay? So our fall to spring retention rate is an opportunity for improvement for us. 57% is not acceptable. Now, the students who went from fall to the next fall is even worse. But that makes sense given many of them will either fall out or not even engage in the spring. And so the overall fall to fall retention rate for the college is 43%. Also not acceptable, but that's where we are. The groups that tend to do better are females, and again, the unknown group of students, 52.5%. And then finally, all the way to that second spring where we hope if they're a full-time student, they're finishing, those success rates now are higher. That's kind of critical. Because, so gender anyway didn't give us any significant differences across the gender groups, but when we look at race and ethnicity, that pattern of if we can get them to that fall into that second spring, those are the real keys for getting them to finish. So let's look at those numbers. And even before I even zoom in, you can see that the red ink on the left, there's certainly more of that in the fall to fall rates and the fall to spring retention rate. So let's take a look. Okay, 57% again was the overall fall to spring retention rate. And the groups, again, this is a consistent pattern, unknown, and the African-American students, 5 points below. Fall to fall, quite a few. White students, 2 or more races, Black African American, Asian Pacific Islander, American Indian Alaska Native students. I think the point being, if so many of our students by ethnicity are not making it to that second fall, it's a point of opportunity for us to really focus on getting them from the fall to the spring, back to the fall again. Doesn't seem to differentiate by race, in other words. There we go. Okay, and finally, that second spring, which is really key. This is the one that hopefully they finish or they're close to finishing. It is a higher overall rate at 69%, but we're still seeing differential patterns across race and ethnic groups. So we had 6,500 graduate in that 3-year span that we were looking at, but like 7,600 students just kind of disappeared from fall 19 through spring 22. Remember, this is COVID for sure. And remember all of our efforts to reach out to them. We had huge calling campaigns and brought a lot of them back. But that's a lot of students. It's a net loss, right? So when students make it, though, to that second fall, much more likely to progress to the second spring. And that pattern holds regardless. Okay? So it's kind of an important emphasis for us as we focus on retention. Okay, so how are we doing on equity? The approach that we take when we study, not just the differences across these categories like gender and race, is to look at what's called disproportionate impact. That's a key term that's defined. I've repeated it up here. You guys have seen this fence cartoon before, right? Where the difference between equality and equity is really meeting students at the point of their need. Making sure that every student has a fair bite at the apple, so like Dr. Walden likes to say. Eventually, we like to just remove the fence, but that's really not what's happening. And I want to illustrate it with candy, because I think this is a good way to explain disproportionate impact. All other things being considered, and this was our population of students, right? Pretty stable, a proportion of different colors. You put that scoop in there, and you scoop out some M&Ms, your graduates should be the same distribution as those, right? Well, all the work that we've done over the years, what we're finding is a persistent disproportionate impact. That's what disproportionate impact is. Something is happening institutionally, structurally, organizationally, where certain students are doing fine, but others are not. So that's what I mean when I talk about the institutional barriers that we have to address with equity. We've got to reduce those greens and reds and make it look like they're proportional, like our population of students. We can keep it. So that's what disproportionate impact is. So that's what I want you to keep in mind when we talk about the actual work as we focus on the work that we're doing. We weren't just looking at differences in those percentages. We analyzed and calculated things like a proportionality, okay? So before I introduce Malia and Todd, I wanted to give you this picture of what's happened since just the 2019 Student Equity Plan. We were very strategic about where we put our investments. The focus we had at that time was on professional development. We really wanted to focus on females, and we wanted to focus on our Hispanic students. Now you'll notice 60% of our students are females. So I think the efforts of developing that plan and the strategies we put into place, when you look at the yield, we actually improved 3 out of the 5 equity metrics in this last round of student equity planning. And the achievement of our Hispanic Latinx students kind of went through the roof. So from my perspective, what I see is we've really gotten better at this integrated student-centered planning. And even going back to 2008 when we had our first round of accreditation woes. When you really look at the work that we've done since then in the last, I guess that's been 15 years now, holy cow. We have really done a great job of knowing how to plan, knowing where to put the investments, and yielding the kind of outcomes we did. So I think that's really good. Pat yourselves on the back, folks. So we've made important gains in student achievement. There are persistent gaps in African-American student performance, and those are ample opportunities for us to address. And you'll see that the challenges that we address in the student equity plan are very focused and intentional. And we do have some key partners that Malia is going to talk about in a little bit. So we will hand it off to Malia. Malia Carpenter is Director of Student Services. She is really the author of our student equity plan. She was the one to kind of put it all together, and it is on your agenda for tonight. So, just keep that. You sure you want me to do it? Okay.
Like, because you had such a stellar time with it.
God, it's a pain.
Good evening, board. As was mentioned, the student equity plan is before you tonight for review and approval. This is a comprehensive report. It's about 40 pages of identifying where are some opportunities for improvement to address the data that Ginny has just gone over with you. It is a comprehensive plan that included input from both instruction and student services. Having the opportunity, I'd really like to thank Ginny, Amy Azul, Dr. Tarango, Dr. Scott, Dr. Newson, Elizabeth Duarte, and Lawrence Andrees, because they really contributed a lot to this report to make sure it is reflective of VVC's commitment to addressing our equity gaps. And another key partner in our work is the VVC Foundation. So I'd like to introduce Kirsten so she can share with you the important work that the foundation has been doing to help meet the needs of our students.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year to you all. Thank you, Ginny, Dr. Scott, Malia, for including the foundation and allowing us to report out on some numbers from 2019 to 22 in support that we've been able to offer as the foundation. And VVC is our only customer. That is why we raise money. We raise funds. It's only to serve VVC and its students. So I'm proud to say that. So during that time frame, we were able to give $1.8 million in CARES Act bookstore funding. So while we didn't secure the CARES Act funding, we did help the college become really nimble in getting that out to our students because we can turn around money so quickly. A student can have their books or supplies the first day of class or at the very latest the second day of class, which is important in persistence, right? Keeping them on track. And then our scholarship awards, over $1.6 million for 2,495 students. We're always so proud to report on that. The scholarship drive did open on Monday, so please encourage everyone to apply right on our website. Emergency funding. Mackenzie Scott contributed a lot with Finish Line, but when COVID first hit, we went to our grantors, private grantors, such as Wells Fargo, Kaiser, Flagstar Bank, and asked them if the money, they gave us the monies, but we were supposed to spend them in a certain way. We asked them, can we use it for emergency funding? They need laptops, they need Wi-Fi access, and every one of them said yes. And for example, even, Trustee Brady, you gave laptops that we were able to donate again. So really, they really were in tune with our mission and what we needed to do and fell right in line. And so we've been able to continue with that emergency funding. And a couple of stories I could share thousands of stories with you because we get them all the time. So we had a young lady, she is a current student, she lives in her car. She is a bright ray of sunshine every time she comes into the office. She came into the office because she wanted to find out more about services that she could inform her fellow students about, not for herself. Of course, we were able to help her, but now she has started a club through ASB, an ASB club, a Bible study to help encourage and support her fellow students. She's fabulous. She's great, and she never feels sorry for herself. She's fabulous. And then a young man who, this was a year ago, he was homeless. We were able to provide the hotel for him, and he had no sweater, no jacket. I remember Chris Nunez going to our bookstore and getting a couple jackets and a VVC sweatshirt and taking it to his hotel room just so he could have something. But now he is no longer homeless. He has a room. He's in a program. There were several young men sharing a room. But now he has a room and he has a roof over his head. And this is all about persistence and getting them, like you said, from fall to fall, fall to spring to fall, all of that and on. And that's what we're here for. So just thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you for sharing it. What are you
Of course.
talking about?
Of
How
course.
do you not have?
And I think you wanted to hear from Deanne, right?
Yeah, Deanne, you
For
go.
ASB representative, yeah.
So with the diversity and equity stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
you guys actually have a goal that's really gonna be
Yeah.
helpful for equity efforts.
So with our goal number 4 for ASB, ASB will host a variety of events, including multicultural and LGBTQIA+ events to foster a greater sense of community acceptance and inclusion through to increase student engagement. ASB is hosting a Martin Luther King event next week, planning a Love is Love event on Friday, or in February, planning a multicultural events for the spring, including Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, or event. That was with the dragons we did last year, the dancing dragons, and all of that. And I feel pretty confident about all the stuff that we get to do with the diversity and equity and stuff. I'm really looking forward to see.
Yeah, you guys
all
are a
those people
very
coming out.
important partner for a lot of our efforts. So, and Malia, you didn't have to go all the way back there. Should have put a chair up here for you.
So I want to provide a little bit of background on writing this year's equity plan. This plan was informed by VVC's equity imperative that was in our educational master plan, as well as the equity-minded efforts that are happening here on campus. And further, it was really kind of approached with some feedback of USC's analysis of our previous equity plan. So you may or may not know, back in 2019 when we submitted our last plan, the Chancellor's Office did commission USC to review all of the equity plans. And some of the feedback that we got was that our approach was not intentional in addressing the data that our own numbers are showing need to be addressed in the students who are being underserved at Victor Valley College. So we really wanted to be intentional in approaching this report. A little less of an all students approach, but really focusing on looking at retention and completion and how do we increase those numbers for our disproportionately impacted student groups. So the focus for this plan, we noticed that across all 5 equity plan metrics, our Black and African American students were showing a disproportionate impact. So given the number of students that we serve and the frequency in which they were showing up, that is the focus of this equity plan that you'll be reviewing this evening. And some of the strategies that we are implementing immediately is we are creating a culture of inquiry. We understand that the technology age and the pandemic has changed learning for students. So we really have invested efforts in creating focus groups and surveys to gather input directly from students as to what's going to help improve their learning experience at VVC. Excuse me. We're also being more intentional about our support around professional learning. So we currently are looking to give faculty and staff the opportunity to bring back ideas and processes that they would like to see implemented here at Victor Valley College. As opposed to just sending folks to professional learning, we really want them to bring ideas back that we can implement. As an example, we currently have 20 faculty who are participating in a 2-term professional learning. They are actively working on an all-college day presentation where they will share with fellow faculty a plan to increase learning communities so that we can hopefully improve student engagement and retention. We are also hiring peer mentors who are going to work with our first-year experience program and the engagement centers. This is really kind of an intrusive approach and to break down barriers around help-seeking behavior. We think that peer-to-peer approach makes it a little bit more approachable for students to seek out the supports that they need here on campus. And then we are also in the process of developing new student engagement centers that will house our student success teams. They will primarily be focused on keeping students enrolled and connecting students with support resources. It really is taking on a just-in-time approach so that we can catch students when they are struggling, hopefully before they withdraw from classes, so we have the opportunity to kind of step in and serve as a safety net there. And with that, I'll invite Dr. Scott to share about the engagement centers.
So one of the things that I wanted to point out too was, the typical, what's the definition of doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results or expecting the same results? That's what we've been doing, but we're not doing it anymore. It's not happening anymore. So we know these groups, they show up all the time as disproportionately impacted. Over the years, what have we done? The same thing. They're still there. We're not doing that anymore. And, we're specifically going to focus on this case management approach. We know who those students are. We know their names. We know how to contact them. We know where they're at. We're going to contact them and we're going to support them and we're going to make sure that they get what they need to be successful. And one of the first steps was to create these engagement centers. So I don't know the last time you walked through that ATC mall, the Building 23. It's like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. You step back into a time warp, right? 1960s all over again. All the furniture is old. Half the computers don't work. I'm done with that too. So we are redoing that center mall. I don't know if you won't recognize it, in fall of 23, but this is what it's going to look like. It's more modern. It provides places for students to hang out. So when they're here, they're engaged in our services. They're engaged with the college. That is the most important part, is we want our students engaged with our institution so we can help them get through this process. So you'll see that, Jenny, just go back real quick. So you'll see that, the little lounge areas in front, those are gonna be on each side. The computer stations there, open computer labs where students come in and use a computer, study or whatever. And then you see some little walls there in the center. Those are gonna be tutoring spaces. So what we're doing is we're taking the existing writing center and tutoring centers and moving those out into the center mall area to make it more engaging and more identifiable for students. And then the engagement centers are going into those spaces. So let's move on. So this is kind of the overview of what it looks like. They're not permanent walls. We can move those, 6-foot walls on wheels. We can move those as we see fit. But the computer stations will stay there, the receptions and the lounges on each side. And by Dr. Walden's orders, new carpeting, because it's all beat up and stained and everything else. So it's carpeting a football field. So it's kind of like what we're doing on Lower Campus. It's a large amount of carpeting, but well worth it in terms of getting us to this new atmosphere that we want to create for VVC. And the writing center you see there, we're moving that to an existing Alex Lab space. And it's going to be very similar to our Math Success Center, which is very successful. It's always crowded when you go in there, but they have a special space there where 6 or 7 students want to sit together with a tutor or a faculty and tackle some problems instead of being out in a large area. So.
It's reimbursable too, if you're wondering. It does generate attendance hours for us. Okay, so, all right, future.
Last time. And so these are some of our approaches to addressing some challenges on the long term. So when looking at the metrics, and you'll see in the student equity plan, one of the biggest gaps has to do with transfer for our Black and our African American students. So we really wanted to kind of get some feedback from alumni, from folks that work here on campus to try to figure out why is that? Why is it that when it comes to transfer, we're seeing such low transfer rates? And so what we found is that there's really a lack of exposure to transfer resources on campus. Right now, the Transfer Center is housed in the One Stop Center, which is primarily focused on onboarding. So we're trying to approach this as to how can we expand the presence of transfer resources that are available here on campus for students. Part of that is looking to partner with the transfer counselor with the development of the Engagement Center and the Success team. So we want to really expand their presence now in the engagement centers. The centers will have a focus on retention, so it's kind of that second stop, right? Once students have gone through the onboarding process, we want them to start thinking about what's next. Your time at VVC is such a short period, so it's important that from the beginning we start thinking about what is the next step for students and how does that bring value for them. We also noticed that there's an absence of images of graduating and transfer scholars on campus. So also looking to have pictures, banners that are more reflective of our student population so that students can start to see themselves as university scholars. One of my favorite quotes up here is, "You can't be what you can't see." So we really want to start changing that here on campus and promoting really an atmosphere of transfer for our students. We're also looking to demystify the transfer process. So we're going to continue to increase university tours, connect students with VVC alumni who have transferred to other schools, be intentional about involving four-year financial aid representatives. We know that our student population relies a lot on the financial aid that is provided here, but there's a lot of uncertainty about how they'll be able to afford a four-year college degree. So we really want to increase resources around that as well. And then giving them the opportunity to connect with clubs and organizations at those four-year universities. As we know, these universities are quite a bit away, and it can be intimidating to kind of leave your support system here. So we want to help bridge that experience for students so they can start building their own support system on these four-year campuses. As was shared previously, Dr. Scott had shared about the auto awarding of certificates and the big jump that we saw in students who had met the requirements for certificates. So we're also looking to do the auto awarding of degrees. And similar to what happened with certificates, we do expect to see a significant increase in students who have met the requirements for an associate degree for transfer, bringing students one step closer to moving on to that next step. And then we're also looking at industry connections. One of the challenges that the research shows, particularly for students of color, is they have a hard time connecting education to employment. And so we are really looking to increase that, to shift the focus from a job-centered approach to a career-centered approach. And through the engagement centers, we want to be able to bring in our faculty who are industry experts, bring in industry experts outside, to really speak to students, to help them understand how their education is leading to a career, and how the investment right now is worth their time, even though all of the other challenges that they are facing, helping students to understand that that is possible and it's better for them in the long run.
Well, that's it, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
So, any other questions or points of clarity you need? I'm going to hand out kind of a message summary for the answers to those 4 questions, so you can keep these around when people ask you questions about, how VVC is doing.
Jenny, but do you have the full report? Can we get the full 40-page report?
Full 40-page report of what?
You're talking about a 40-page report.
Oh, yeah, no, it's on your agenda. The student equity plan is tonight's
It's an
first
action.
read? Oh,
It's an action item.
it's an action item.
It's an attachment. Oh, there is. You have it in your clipped packet from Michelle. You have a printout, but we also have it on the
Okay,
agenda
that's right,
electronically.
that's right. Yeah, no, it was interesting.
Okay.
I think that your comments about using the word unacceptable, that's something that in the real world, employers say that's not acceptable. So when you say that the outcomes or what you see are unacceptable, and I think what, Todd said, if you keep doing the same thing with the same results, we call that insanity in the real world. And so I think that what I'm watching is a total change by what you're doing, and it's pretty clear. You have to get a buy-in from you in order for this to happen, and there's a total buy-in. So it's real refreshing.
Yeah, and it's just everything from the frontline staff all the way to what you guys have done. It's really this integrated kind of approach where everybody's on the same page. And this is 16 years now. Mr.
Well,
Brady,
and-
Mr. Henderson, we go back pretty far. I've seen some amazing things
And I know
happen.
that there are people that don't like to hear about what happened in 2011, and I really don't care. I care about the outcome of the students that we can teach here, a skill that they can go to work. This region is gonna double in size in the next 25 years. And we are the center of the educational spoke. So when I say I don't care about what happened before, we now have, it's so clear in front of us, and I think we're taking the right approach, and I tell Dan all the time that, it's so nice, it's so refreshing to be here, versus at a time where I just don't think that there was that much engagement where there should be, so I applaud the whole team, so.
I agree with you.
Thank you so much for the
Yeah.
presentation. Very
Great job.
informative,
Great
very
job.
useful. Great job, team.
Thank you, Dr. Dan. Thank you, team.
So the next study session, we plan to bring back in April or May, is going to be Monica's going to be heading that up, and it's going to be studying what's been happening with our employees as far as how that has changed. I don't know if are you walking out? I want to thank you. Okay. But just get your M&Ms and sit on the back seat and eat them. No, but anyway, you'll have another study session to look at, because this is one area that the Chancellor's Office has asked all the boards to take a look at, and that is who you're hiring, what's their demographic, and how does that compare to your student population. So I think you'll be excited about some of the things that we'll share with you at that time. I was able to share it with the college at the fall college, all college day and service day. So we'll bring that back to you in April, May. Okay, so that'll be your second study session, and that'll be just before your June retreat, where you do your
I don't like
thing.
that word, it's
again.
unacceptable.
Retreat.
Unless I'm being fanned with a palm frond, it's unacceptable.
But I do have to mention that we skipped 6.1 because the individual board of trustee reports was moved to the earlier part of the board meeting. So
I think we are doing that all the time. were
Yeah,
we?
we're
I
doing
thought
that
it was
all the
just
time.
One time.
We're
So
doing it all the time.
the thing is that
It's on the agenda.
so the purpose of it is that the Board of Trustees will report on matters directly related to their functions as board members, attendees at conferences, professional affiliations, and community involvement. So this is a chance for you. I got a lot of positive feedback, believe it or not, that we had moved that to the earlier part of the board meeting. So I thought you might want to try it because the college loved, I heard from a lot of people.
Those were
Yeah.
fake Yelp reviews.
No, they was in person. And in fact, the entire cabinet was impressed by it. So if you guys want it moved back to the end, we can. But this does give you a chance if you, whatever you want to say early on when there's still people here and you're not as tired. But we'll move it wherever you want it moved. We'll put it at the end, the beginning, the middle. But I do think since it's on the agenda, we should go back to 6.1. And then you can say, just tell us what you want done. But I need to know that from all of you.
Dr. Dan, I think that the intent of having it at the end was good at one time, but I think that by the time that people are, here 3 hours, if there's something that we need to report, which is, I think, important because we're trustees, I'd like it up here at the earlier part.
I have no preference.
Yeah,
I
I just thought we moved it the one time, but wherever's fine, I guess.
Well, people liked it, so I told Michelle, I said, put it back up there and let the board
Let the
decide
people
where
have
they
what
want
they
it.
want.
It's up to you folks. It's not really up to me.
Is that what you're saying?
You know what, I'll tell you this, that if you have to go in front of cities or the county, if any of you have ever been to San Bernardino County to speak about a non-agendized item, you have to wait till the absolute end. Last time I checked, these are taxpayers. They should, I think that we should be here to do what we need to at the right time and work our schedules around theirs. So I'd like to see us at the beginning. I don't think it makes any difference.
Yeah, I don't have a preference, whatever you guys
We got
want.
ambivalence over here. We got favor of it over
Nothing
here. He
but
doesn't
ambivalence.
care. You what?
You like
You
it?
like the beginning and all the feedback I got from the college.
Right.
Let's have
Thank
it
you,
at the
everybody.
beginning.
If everybody likes it there, leave it there.
So we need to do individual trustee reports. now.
Art just wants to hear us talk.
We can do it in the beginning, that's fine with me.
Okay, but
We do it when people are still awake.
wait, so now you can do it right now.
I just did.
No, I mean, who do you want to report out first? Which trustee?
What?
So which trustee do you want to go first?
We already did ours. Didn't
No,
we?
no,
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 those
this
are the board
isn't board
goals.
Oh,
goals.
goals.
These are
Now
our
what?
individual report outs.
6.1.
This is what we usually do at the end. We're moving it to the beginning. Ish.
Okay, so individual Board of Trustees reports. 6.1. This is, like, you had this at the end, right?
Yes, so you can pick who you want to
So
go
we can
first.
say what we want.
Like, just tell somebody to give their report.
You can pick trustee Tarpley.
Tarpley.
Clearly.
Oh, I do.
I know you're gonna get me, that's okay.
Oh, my goodness, Joe Brady.
Joseph W.
Joseph W.
Joseph W. Brady.
My bad. So, I thank you for that report, and that is all I have to say. You're welcome.
That's it?
That's it. Somebody beat my time.
Okay.
Or the rest of
Trustee
the
Wood?
Wood?
Oh, me?
Beat my time, Brandon.
Well, I just want to say welcome back from the holidays. There was no professional development going on over the holidays for me to fit the goal of, or the stated thing. So welcome back. Hope everybody had a great holiday, and happy New Year, happy 2023, and great to see the college already back up and running at full speed coming off the holiday.
Yeah.
Probably. Because my microphone.
Your turn.
All right. For last month, John and I, we went to the, can you hear me okay?
Where'd you go?
Not at all.
Yes, we go.
Last month, we went to the paramedic graduation, really enjoyed that, and we're sorry to hear about the passing of John McNillis, Captain John McNillis. He was one of the part-time EMT teachers, instructors, so very sorry to hear about that. The program, you can still hear me?
Just talk.
Okay. And also, I'm glad to hear about the enrollment thing and about what we're doing with the, with the community, trying to find out where we need to make improvements at and getting our students taken care of, better representation. I'm really happy to hear that and that we're moving in the right direction. And we had a wonderful vacation. Hope everybody else did. And that's it.
I hope everybody had a great New Year. I know we did, nice and quiet. And I did my annual New Year's shot of wild turkey.
Woo!
Every year since I was a kid, I had a shot of wild turkey. My dad's birthday was on January 1st. So it's kind of a tradition in the family. One shot, period.
How young are my kids?
And so I carried that out and went to bed about 12:03 and said goodnight and pleasant dreams. Anyway, I hope everybody else was good. I hope you guys, if you partied, party hardy. And, but if you wanted quiet, do that too. Whatever you do. Anyway, other than that, it was good. We watched the rain today. It rained almost all day at my house, and it was kind of fun. You don't see rain out here much, but the river's got water in it if you cross the river. You don't see that often. I remember back a few years back, 20 years ago, that the water was so high that they were worried about the bridge over Bear Valley.
Oh, wow.
Washing it out. They were worried about it because the water was just so high. But that doesn't happen often. Anyway, have a good one, and I'll see you next month in a brand new show. Same time, same station.
You have two more, the student and
I got
trustee
here.
Brady.
We got Mr. Brady.
We have the student first.
Oh, student.
You first.
She wants you to go first.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you kind of a fun little story. I don't know how many of you ever knew Ellsworth Sylvester. Ellsworth Sylvester was the historian for the high desert. And I met him when I came here 34 years ago. Real tall guy, about 6'8", just a wonderful guy. He helped site Los Angeles International Airport where it is today, so he had a lot of history. As we went down Bear Valley Road, he showed me where the Quick Quack Car Wash is, or Fish Hatchery Road, that during one of the storms before Silverwood was put up, that the river was from Fish Hatchery Road to Deep Creek.
Wow.
That's why the Silverwood was built. So I hope everybody had a great holiday. Last time I had wild turkey was on a golf course when I was 12 years old. I was in Texas. And it was,
There you go.
On a good note, we've had some real good success with the help of Dr. Walden and his staff on trying to connect industry to the college. I think that's why we're all here. We're all here to educate people and put them in a local industry so they don't leave here. We have the brain drain that we've had for years. Because we're redoing our plan this year because we have some concerns about where the economy's going. And we're trying to pull back on some of the staff time that we're putting towards these lunches. Candidly, they've become very costly. So we decided to start doing a video. So I did 2 videos today. So we have a lunch. We had a lunch scheduled for February for mining. And Steve Terrell, who is with Mitsubishi, unfortunately, is chairman of, I think, the National Mining Show down in Dallas, Texas. And he has a family issue with, I think, his dad. Then we had the engineers and architects in April, so we just moved them. So this afternoon, we spent about 7 minutes on each one. So we have done a video with Terry Kerr, so we do a lot of video work. And we're going to send those videos out directly by email to the invitees, and it basically says, you're going to get invited, please click, please make it easy, because these lunches are really well worthwhile, and they've been fun. The second thing, I can't emphasize enough the work that Joe Raines did here. So if you can, attend his memorial on Saturday, the 28th. Joe taught me a lot. We were good friends. We had some pretty interesting times during his tenure here, but he taught me a lot, and he's the reason that I'm here. So obviously I want to thank him. And I just want to, again, Dr. Dan, thanks for the report tonight. Jenny, you always do a great job, and Todd and everybody else. Thanks for that report. I think it really gives us an idea of where we're going. And with that, I will turn it back over to our president, Dennis Henderson, because we have Fred Dearborn in the audience, and we want to be sure he gets home early. Hi, Fred.
Hi.
How are you?
Trustee.
We are so honored that you are here.
Student trustee?
Huh?
Thank you so much.
You are. You're a powerful person in education. You've done a lot of things for a lot of kids, students.
Legend.
Big time. You're more famous than John Pinkerton.
Lights of Love happened on December 16th. I want to thank board member Pinkerton for coming by. It was such a huge success. We gave out 513 gifts to students, kids especially. Veterans holiday cards were delivered to the Barstow Veteran Home on December 17th. Trustee Tarpley, Tim Isbell, and I delivered them. It was a fun experience. I'm really glad I got to experience that. Learning a lot of new things. Next Monday is the Martin Luther King event in the PAC. It is free to the community. Next week is the Comedy of Magic event taking place in the PAC also. And that is all I have to report on.
Oh, great.
All right, so we can go back to the president's report. Sorry we missed that earlier.
That's okay.
Okay, facilities update, John Nolan.
Student housing?
Dr. Walden wanted me to kind of, really, it's not really, it's an update, but it's really a heads up. So at your next meeting on January 25th, which is a special board meeting, is the date that our grant application is due to the chancellor's office. So we wanted to give you a heads up that grant application will be on your agenda on January 25th. But anyway, this is not a new topic, so we went from the concept of a public-private partnership a few years ago. I've got a few slides, Tim, if you put them up. I just kind of want to just let you know we're focused pretty much on the same facility. It's around 250 beds. That was our original concept. Same location. But if you're familiar with this, the state funding that's been available the last 2 budget years, we're in round 2. And I believe there's about $758 million or something, a pretty large number appropriated for the current year. And in one of the budget trailer bills, they moved the application process from the Department of Finance for community colleges, they moved it to the Chancellor's office. And so from about July to basically December 1st, the Chancellor's office had to hire employees and their facilities division to come up with a process for the applications. So on November 29th, we finally got the application package from the Chancellor's office with a due date of January 25th. So we've been working with Servitas as our developer. We engaged a firm called LaSar Development out of San Diego to help us with the application, put it together, present it. And so we're working diligently right now with those groups to get this application done, ready, and ready to submit after hopefully you approve it on the 25th, because we have to email it to the Chancellor's office by midnight. So what we're doing is, go ahead. Anyway, this is kind of our bed layout. And as we're talking, as we pursue grant funds now, there's some strings attached to the grant money. There's a certain portion of the project that's funded by state funds has to be tied, the rents are capped basically, and they're capped at our local rates plus a certain, growth per year depending on CPI and everything. So I got together with the developers and the designers, and so we came up with a concept where we're gonna to try to keep the rents down low where they have to be on the grant funded dollars. We came up with an idea of doubling up some of the rooms, and I'll show you some layouts of the rooms. So we met with Dr. Wall then to get his okay to move to this concept, to try to keep the rents down low. Because one of the major criteria is how much each bed costs per dollar value of each bed, and you'll see a slide that shows you some of the numbers. But so we went, if you look at this number, the number of beds total in that next to the last column on the right, we're at 239 beds. So we're right at that 250. I think it was 247 or something that we presented back in 3 years ago, basically, I think. But anyway, you can see where we'll have 30 2-bedroom, 2 baths that are double occupancy. And then we'll have the majority, and then 27 of the units will be 4-bedroom, 2-bath with single occupancy in the bedrooms. And you'll see the layout. So basically the entire facility is, you see there's only 63 units and 57 of them are those 2 types of units. We have a unit for a student advisor and that kind of thing. So Tim, go ahead and hit the next. So this is some of the layout. You'll see that one on the left is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, single and double. So it has one bedroom has 1 bed in it and the other bedroom has 2. There's a small, so that's one of the doubled up units. Then we have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, single. So you got 2 beds in that unit. I think that's probably the student advisor or the advisor apartment. Go ahead and go to the next one. So we have 1 or 2 of the small studio apartments on the right, and then this is the large. We have 27 units of this 4-bedroom with a single bed in each bedroom. So you got 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. Go to the next one, Tim. And then this is the 2-bedroom, 2-bath double. So where you see there's kind of two sides of the apartment, and there's 2 beds in one side and 2 beds in the other, and they share a bathroom. So that's kind of the layouts that we've landed on for this grant. Next slide. So it's still a 3-story building. This is the first floor of the plan, the first floor, and by color code, the type of units. Next slide is the second floor. Pretty much almost identical, and then the third floor. So there's gonna be some spaces that are available for the residents to study in, do some social. We went from original model, had individual washers and dryers in all the units. We've moved to a common laundry now. And then that not only saves us as far as maintenance, but it actually allows the residents to also interact with each other. So they meet down in the laundry room and, you know, hopefully there's no, you know, suds and duds kind of thing are going on, but, so the next slide, Tim, this is basically the layout. It's the same as it was before over there by the Child Development Center, the parking lot, and then the layout of and then this is a quick shot of a rendering of the south side of the building, the next one, Tim. So that's kind of what it'll look like on that slope over there, but, so this is really just a, hey, heads up, we're gonna be coming with the comprehensive grant application that will come to you in a couple weeks. So we can get it approved and get it submitted to state. And we think the total of the grant application will be between $40 and $50 million. So, any questions? It was just wanted to give you a little bit, just make you think about what's coming up in the next couple weeks. It's going to be a very important decision that we have to, that the board will have to make.
And act on quickly.
Yeah, because one of the big criteria of the state's criteria is if you say you're gonna put in 239 beds, they don't care about escalation or, you know, inflation. You're gonna build 239 beds. That's their number one criteria. You apply for funding for 239 beds, you're building it. We don't care how much it costs. If it cost overruns, the district's gonna be on the hook. And some of the schools in the first round basically were awarded and submitted prior to all this latest inflation issues we've had in the economy. Some of the schools are they're reconfiguring their entire designs now to meet that bed requirement that they applied for. So you don't want to have to go back and say, okay, now we're going to have to redesign and put more doubles in, you know, depending on the economy. So it's very competitive. There's probably 40 to 50 schools that will put in this round in this month. And then there's a third round if you don't get funded in the second round. So it's pretty competitive, but it went from a fairly easy application process to more complicated. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that we'll see you in a couple weeks at that special meeting to get that grant
So when you talk
in front
about
of you.
advisory, do you mean like an RA?
A resident environment, yeah, yeah,
We used to call it prefects.
yeah, so.
So once this goes into the ground, it has a 22-month construction. That's what they're from start to finish.
Duration, yeah, construction duration.
So if we hear back in June,
We're supposed to hear back in June whether we're funded in the second round.
and if we're funded, then we get the plans drawn up.
Ramp up the design.
Because of all the changes that happened, I stopped the spending of money on drawing up plans and engineering and all that kind of stuff because I didn't want us to be on the hook for 2 or 3 million, whatever it was gonna be. I wanted to make sure if we went forward, it's just if we get the grant money. The other thing is, if we don't get this round of grant, there is going to be another round
Third
next
round,
year. And I believe I saw today in the governor's budget, they're gonna do another round after that as well, so. Anyway, there'll be a full presentation to the board on the 25th. We'll do the closed session item up front, and, because that doesn't usually take a long time. And then we'll go into open session with this item on the 25th.
Dr. Dan and John, 2 months ago, and I was quite surprised at the CCLC conference. There was not a peep or a word talked about the projected $25 billion deficit.
Yep.
Am I right or wrong? So where are we next year if we have this $25 billion deficit,
So
the board goes along, it goes.
So the governor's budget came out today. He's projecting a 22 billion. What he's doing is he's using some of the reserves that he had and then he has cut back on a lot of the one-time funds that he gave out last year, which was tons of them. Remember, he had $100 billion surplus last year. So he's cut back on that. For our budget, he's proposing an 8.13% COLA and the ability to grow enrollment. They'll fund that. And most of the categoricals will get, those that employ people mainly will get the COLA. SIA, equity, strong workforce, none of those, he's not proposed any increase with them. Last year, we got the system got 800 and something $million for deferred maintenance, and he's cut that back to 600 million. So all in all, it's still a good, we're gonna be fine if his budget goes through. But, you know, there's gonna be now the deliberations, and we'll know a whole lot more about the May revise. And they'll know more too in regard to their funds. The reason that they, I don't know if you know this, but 1%, the top 1% in California, they pay over half the taxes. And so because the main reason for the shortfall this year is the loss of capital gains. And so that's what goes on. So but for us as a college, based on his proposal today, I already got the analysis from he didn't propose it the other day. But today, what I got was from the Chancellor's office and CCLC, and they gave us I saw their proposal, and then I saw a joint proposal with ACA, ACBO, and CCLC. So they were all kind of the same. But basically, we're okay for the next year if everything holds.
Yeah, a lot can change between now and May.
I was really surprised.
And they didn't cut student housing.
No.
He deferred, he moved some of it to as I said, there's gonna be another
round.
There's this round of funding, there's one more, and then he moved some of the funding to a third round a year after next.
I was suspect because after you've gone to, 10 or 12 of these, they're always talking about money.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when there's no talk about money, now there was a lot of talk about housing. So we had talked about this long before Dr. Walden came here. So I've been a proponent. I was living away in student housing when I was in seventh grade because I was not a good kid. So I know a lot about dorms and layouts and SUDs and funds and all that kind of stuff. I did not vote on the last. I opposed the way that the developer had created their pro forma. I'm in that business. We work in that business. That's all we do. Dan and I talked, Dr. Wall and I talked the other night, and I'm very supportive of moving this along. And part of my, not change, but I know that when Dr. Wall and I went through the financials, so those are things I see all the time, and John, you know that we see that. I am deeply concerned as a business person that we could have a great announcement by June of next year. If the Bright Line speed train goes through, I'm going to a presentation tomorrow, which I'm banking that the feds will put out part of the money to do that. It's going to create 10,000 construction jobs. BNSF is moving forward in Barstow with 20,000 direct and indirect jobs. I don't know where these people are going to live. So what's going to happen is we're going to have a housing crunch, and the rental market will go crazy. The landlords will take advantage of our students because it's a low-hanging fruit. And then all of a sudden, we're going to have a lot of students not able to find housing, and they're going to go back and say, how did that guy predict that? Well, it's not predicting it. They're simple numbers. We have a very low vacancy factor today. You don't see any new real apartment complexes being built. There's one down in Hesperia. There's a couple proposed in Victorville. The problem is everybody's concerned. They're afraid that we're going into this recession while we have a lot of great things happening up here. So I've never seen this happen in all the years I've been here. So I'm excited. I think we need to move as quickly as possible. And somehow you can build a 250 unit hotel complex in 13 months, and hopefully we can figure out how to do it, because I think we're gonna run into a problem with our students. So that's just, I want to go on the record and say it. So I support John.
Okay.
So I think you're up next too.
I just want to know who's going to patrol this? Are we going to patrol it?
Yeah, our internal police
Okay.
will provide security.
So we will assign a security person there, full-time.
Full-time.
Oh, and I guess here's kind of a quickie on the stadium. So if you haven't seen the sign out in front of the stadium project, there's the new sign. It was put up a couple weeks ago, I believe. And then kind of in the background is the foundation of the event center, which in about 7 hours, we're gonna pour 1,000 yards of concrete starting at 2:00 in the morning. All that foundation, it's 100 truckloads of,
Cool.
so you'll see the bright lights. They got the light machines all ready to go. It looks like it's gonna go even with all the bad weather we
Joe,
have.
are you ready?
So there'll be 1,000 yards.
I'll be in RIM sleeping to it.
Not at,
But hey, John,
well, not at this phase. If you guys want to get your
Yeah.
feet in concrete, come when we
We'll
pour
put
the slab.
We
'cause
pour the
this would
slab
be-
on top of it. It'd be a much safer
This was
situation.
determined not to be
I hate
safe.
for you to fall on one of those footings and end
I will
up,
tell you this, of all the things I've done in my life, that was one of the best.
so.
Well, you can do that when we pour the slab. So,
The one thing you just do not want to fall flat in your face when you've got a pumper in your hand.
That's right.
Yep,
But they'll have 2 pumps and 100 trucks of concrete.
really.
Damn.
They get them from high grade over here?
50 is coming from this plant and 50 from the Rio Hondo.
So you'll start
Rio
pouring.
Grande?
Rio Honda,
No, what's your
Rio.
district?
Oro Grande.
Oro Grande.
Yeah.
I
Their
thought- I
Oro
know.
Grande plant
I was
is
slow.
50 and this
Where?
plant will be 50.
So what time will you be pouring till?
Yeah.
It should be over by 8 or 9 in the morning, I would think.
Why are they starting at
So-
2 in the morning?
Less traffic.
Is that why?
Is there a way to slide down
I'm
that
a
back road to
genius.
see it at 6 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, you might be able to come up on top, but there'll be traffic. The students will be coming to class, but
That's cool.
we'll have 2 pumps going, so it should be done before it gets really busy here on
That's cool,
campus.
that's cool.
This is
So we
this
still
just
on-
on the event center?
Yeah,
Are we still on schedule?
yeah, so
That's a
far.
prime pay right there.
January?
Next year, yeah, about a year from now.
This time next year, grand opening.
Already.
So anyway,
Not
I'm
good.
next up for the audit presentation. John Dominguez is here. He's a partner with CWDL, which is our new audit firm. He'll go over the highlights of the audit, both audits. So John, take it away.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Happy to be here. As you may know, the district went out last year and did a competitive RFP for the audit services, and we were selected to do that. So pleased to have been awarded and had the opportunity to be here. A little bit about our firm. We work with over 30% of the colleges in the state system. I think your prior firm covered about the same. So you've got 2 of the preeminent firms that have kind of analyzed the district's controls, compliance, financials. We've got really good results. So if we've got a chance to pull up the district audit report, I'll just spend about 5 to 7 minutes walking through some highlights on there. And if it doesn't pop up, that's okay. We can kind of talk through it too. I'm probably more excited about the audit than most folks, but
No, we actually have somebody at our college.
oh, good.
Her name's Shannon. She gets really excited when she does this kind of stuff.
Good, okay.
And she's not here tonight, but
Oh, of course, yeah.
Kirsten, you can let her know. I mean, last month you weren't here, unfortunately, but she got up and gave her audit, and she said, I'm the only person that gets excited to do this, so.
Oh, you do?
The good stuff.
We got disconnected.
You know what? It's so fancy, it doesn't have HDMI. I think we might call an audible and just talk through.
Are you telling us we don't have a tool that we need to have here?
Well, I think my computer's so fancy, it doesn't have the proper connection. But while we're searching for that, I'll talk through. If you do have copies in front of you, I'll reference page numbers, but really, we've got really good results. So what I wanted to touch on was in the district audit report, we issue 4 opinions. The first of those is our opinion on the financial statements. That's on page 1 of the report. There's a different layout if you compare that to prior year. The opinion was at the very end of the report, so someone's looking closely.
I went through, I go, this can't be the same firm that
Yeah.
we did, so now I'm glad we.
So it's a new audit standard. All reports throughout the state will look like that and have the opinion done that way. Really, by our professional bodies, they felt, that's really the most significant, contribution we as auditors make. Let's bring that front and center. So that's that first opinion. And we've also rendered an unmodified opinion, the best at our disposal, essentially saying the financial information, the disclosures, everything was accurate, it was complete. What we audited agreed to what was reported to the state chancellor's office, so really good results on the financials. And you may have noted as well, there was a adoption of a new accounting standard for GASB 87, a little tweak to the way leases were done. District did a fantastic job implementing that. So that was kind of what I wanted to cover there. In the MD&A on page 5, just to point out the FTES trends and analysis, that's obviously something we're certainly aware of and analyzing is the district's kind of fiscal stability and health, among many other factors, looking at the reserves, those trends. But we're encouraged to see really that positive growth. And I think, as was mentioned earlier in the presentation, subsequent to the audit of June 30th of 22, that trend's been very positive in the most recent updates. So we're pleased to see that. I think that puts the district in a very favorable position from a financial perspective. So very good news there. On page 14 of the document is our core financial statements, that statement of net position. Just wanted to point out a little bit of good news. The pensions, as you may know, were a large topic of discussion, obviously a very large unfunded liability at the state level for both CalPERS and CalSTRS. We did get some good news. They had better than expected earnings results, which drove a pretty significant decrease in that unfunded liability. And so the district had previously been at 79.7 million underfunded between the two pension systems. That went all the way down to 40 million. So I would maybe temper the excitement because that's probably going to swing back up. Their actuarial results are a year behind. Statewide, that's a 1-year lag. So we're looking at market results, obviously a year behind, and we've seen those slow down since then. So we hope it won't erode all of that positivity, but nonetheless, I would expect that to swing back the other way. And then last kind of summary on this statement of net position was overall, the district did have a positive increase of just under 10 million, 9.7 to its net position. So again, contributing in large part to that decrease of the liability among other factors. So overall, very positive results there. The new lease information, as we talked about, GASB 87 can be found beginning on page 31, bringing on some information related to the lease receivable. One of the district's building leases, a couple of contracts are reflected there. And there's also some other components that go along with that, intangible right of use assets. But essentially what that standard did was brought all lease information, whether it was previously interpreted as a capital or operating lease, they're all reported the same way, bringing on the full value of the lease asset, bringing on the full value of the lease liability. In the case when the district is the lessee, and then obviously the lessor side, kind of same thing. So just fully reflecting both asset and liability in those cases. And again, as I mentioned, done an excellent job of implementing that by the district. On page 68, I did want to point out it's an excellent tool for the reader of the financials to kind of analyze fund financials. We talk a lot about the funds, especially from a budgetary basis, general fund, obviously that bond, interest and redemption fund, as well as a capital projects fund. So that page will allow you to reconcile all those funds, which are reported to the state chancellor's office, and reconcile to that net position that we talked about on the first page. So going from modified accrual in the funds to full accrual on the core financial statements, and that's all those long-term items in nature, the capital assets, the OPEB, which was another positive result, actually, that OPEB swinging to an OPEB asset. So kudos to the kind of advanced action taken at some point to set up the irrevocable trust was a really good thing. So another positive sign. So a lot of positives. We still go through and verify, we check, we independently confirm these figures, but again, overall good results. And then just wrapping up, I mentioned those 4 opinions. The second of 4 is our referred to as a yellow book opinion. It's our opinion on internal controls over financial reporting and compliance. If we had concerns about the district's ability to be in compliance, if we felt there were, lapses in controls, we would report on that. We didn't identify any, which is consistent with the predecessor auditor, so good results there. One of the things we'd like to do going into our second year is really look at maybe from an efficiency and effectiveness standpoint, kind of, share some of what we're seeing throughout the state and maybe have some ideas where we can tell, the district, your controls are meeting minimum standards, but here's something you might consider, as a way to be more efficient, more effective in the control environment. That's something we like to bring to the table, certainly in year two. And then the last two opinions, federal and state compliance. So we did not identify instances of non-compliance or have any control deficiencies, which is good news. There were findings in the prior year that we obviously look at extremely closely to see if those had been implemented and corrected. And we did test those same programs, and the results of our testing indicated that they had been resolved. So that was something that we took as a very positive sign. So any questions on district report results before I quickly just touch on the bond and some results there?
Just kind of a comment. I found the reading of it a lot easier. It seemed like it was more logical. One thing I couldn't find is any excess COVID funds. Where are those?
So there's
Because I was just looking at the balance sheet and are like assets or, funds, because I thought we were, Dr. Walden, weren't we?
Well, we don't receive the COVID money until we ask for it. So it's sitting in the Fed's bank. So we draw down on it as we spend it.
Okay.
So it's not like
That's why I
there's just a
couldn't
bunch
find
of money sitting around.
No, there was a conversation about, we had X number of dollars that we were dealing with. It was a sizable amount. I won't say what it was.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
no, I thought you did really good. And what I found rather interesting, I went back and looked at this a couple times ago, CWDL, see what's possible. I think, wow, it's some kind of like marketing deal. But no, I mean, and then I think your flow tonight went well.
Good. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's something we'd like to bring to the table. Obviously, the audit standardization, is done so by design. There's not gray area for compliance. You're either in compliance, you're out. So we kind of do that. But like I mentioned, we can bring a little bit more to the table in the sense of we've gotten to kind of understand the district, come up to speed, and now we can kind of tweak and adjust. We're still going to look at all those same mandatory criteria, but now we can focus on a few different areas, bring some recommendations to the table just to, share those as a way to add value.
You were here at the earlier presentation.
I was.
Yeah, so, I mean, you've heard what, Jenny said about unacceptable and about the changes that they're talking about. So I think anything you can bring, in my industry, we call best practices.
Yep.
So I will call another broker, developer and say, well, how do you do this? And they'll share it because we're all just trying to be better at what we do. So I think if you can help us become more efficient, then we're here to serve one client, and that's the student. Yeah. So, good job.
Excellent. Okay, so if we move into the bond audit for Measure JJ, obviously some really exciting projects that we just had a chance to walk and tour today, and I probably won't stick around for the start of the concrete pour, but we'll get a chance to see that at some point.
The other auditors would do that.
They might, yeah. We do occasionally put hard hats on and walk around.
And those that didn't,
they're still in the footings, the ones that. Yeah.
No, that's why you're here.
Yeah.
That's why you got the job.
Yeah. So with the Measure JJ, obviously, Proposition 39 requires the external, both financial and compliance or financial and performance audits, looking at compliance with the ballot measure, what went out to the voters that authorized that debt issuance. And so we look at that as we analyze both the financial and performance side, is kind of drawing back to, is the district, spending funds, voter-approved funds in the manner that they said they would. And our conclusion on the financial side is absolutely the amount that was spent this year wasn't overly significant. There was just over $1 million, which was to be expected. That'll obviously ramp up significantly here in this next period, and we'll continue to look closely at that. But we felt all of the expenses that we did test this year were allowable, had proper support, properly approved, all those key controls. And then most importantly, looking at the interest and investment income, there was obviously a sizable cash balance related to Measure JJ. So we're always looking to see, are the earnings related to the bond funds staying with the bond funds? And in our calculations and in our confirmations, that was the case. So accurate, complete, very much segregated to the bond exclusively is one of the things we look at there. And then on the performance side, we're obviously looking at, the allowability of those funds. So we tested a little over 74%. Obviously, again, just over $1 million. There wasn't a whole lot. We'll probably, try to stick with coverage that's 40 to 50% of total expenditures. Looking at those contracts from the initial procurement stages all the way through actually spending of those funds and analyzing pay apps and those things. So we'll expand on that as the activity ramps up, but overall very good results, which was consistent with prior years. We did not identify control deficiencies or findings in either financial or performance, which again is consistent with prior bonds. So any questions there? Or?
Just one on the GIC. John, the GIC will be exhausted after this building. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
It expires, I think, in December of '24 anyway, so, but I think, yeah.
Because that's 19 million bucks. That shows on our balance sheet
Right.
on this report, so.
Yeah, and I've talked to John and his firm, as I've talked to the board about trying to use that 7% earnings right now is just killing everything right now, so we're kind of manipulating cash and trying to maximize that earnings in that GIC. And so John's aware of that. We've talked about that, and I've talked to the board about that. We want to maximize the earnings for the district, so we're borrowing from one fund to the other to keep from having to dip into the GIC, so we can maximize that earnings. And so far we've been successful.
Well, that's everything I had.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, since we're on year end 2022, we want to just quickly share where we're at on the supplemental retirement plan that we had a couple of years ago. So Tim, if you've got that file. We've done an analysis on the first 2 years savings. So as you see in year one actuals, the net savings in year one was $2,482,564, and PARS estimated that the savings would be $1,128,041. That was the year ending 21, 6/30/21. 6/30/22, the year ending number net savings is $3,946,922. So if you add those 2 years together, our actual savings in the first 2 years is $6,429,486. PARS had estimated that it would be $2,177,067. So, and then PARS estimate for the entire 5 years was a savings of $5,298,352. So we've already exceeded their 5-year estimate.
But how?
In the first 2
the
years.
question is how, though?
Well, a lot of it had to do with the timing of COVID. We weren't out there aggressively hiring people when
People weren't at work, so we weren't hiring new
so
filling
it's,
positions.
and,
That makes sense.
But
but it, that is the reality of
It's
it.
still savings.
It's savings.
so in other words, we sold the bond to the board on the idea that if you would let us do the SERP at 85%, that we would save $5.3 million in 5 years. But in 2 years, we're able to tell you, and, not that COVID is a good thing, but financially, it was for us. We were very serendipitous on this to get back $6.4 million in 2 years. So basically, we're done in the sense of we did what we said we would do in regard to the
2 years.
SERP.
Savings.
And so we're hiring a lot of people now. And this last year, Monica and her crew have, along with everybody who sits on committees and all that kind of stuff. I see the dean saying, who you talking about? I'm the one that's on the committee. But Monica's group and all the committees hired about 85 people this last year. 12 new full-time faculty. And I believe I counted up, I sent you a number, it was like 33 since, in the last 2 years, we've hired 33 new classified
It was a large
positions.
number, yeah.
It was a very large number. So, and what we told the classified in this is that we would hire 8, but we hired 33. So, and this is all with us still balancing our budget. And over the last 4 years, we've tripled the size of the reserve. It was an 8% reserve when I got here. It's a 25, almost 26% reserve right now. So probably the college is more healthy fiscally than it's ever been. And we're not borrowing from gold pots in the ground. We're actually paying the bills based on what the state is giving us. And I would say one more thing, not to our credit, but the fact is the state's given us a lot of money. And this has been a very flush time for community colleges. So all that together is what makes all that possible. But I believe in staying in the budget, as they all know around here.
Okay, thank you very much.
And that's the conclusion of the superintendent president's report.
Okay, reports. 3 minutes limit per report. Purpose of these reports is to inform the Board of Trustees regarding issues pertaining to those constituency groups. Academic Senate,
Not here,
nobody. AFT, part-time.
not here.
ASB,
ASB supported voter registration on campus, continuing to encourage students to get involved with local and federal governments, and is planning its annual advocacy trip to Washington, D.C. ASB is hosting the MLK event next week, planning a Love is Love event for February, planning multicultural events for the spring, including the Asian Pacific Islander Heritage event in May, and VVC, ASB, and VVC Marketing Department continue to update social media with information about events on and off campus.
that's it.
What kind of response did you get to the voter? I mean, are you getting more people involved?
Advisor Sewell, do you happen?
I wouldn't say more people, there were a few people walking around campus, but for a couple of months, we had people outside the bookstore signing people up 8 hours a day. And they got a couple hundred people signed up.
Now, were they representing were they representing a particular party, or were they just?
No party.
Okay,
Neutral.
good.
CSCA,
Not here,
CTA, not here.
not here.
Management, they're always here.
I don't know if there's anybody from management that's prepared to.
Not this month.
Nothing?
We'll say you heard from them earlier. How's that?
How's that?
Jenny, that was a great report.
Okay, consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered by the Board of Trustees to be routine and has been approved by the Superintendent President. Policy 2430. There shall be no separate discussion on these items prior to the time the board votes on them unless a board member requests a specific unit or specific item be removed from the consent agenda for discussion and a separate vote. Public comment on consent items from anyone completing a card will be heard prior to the board vote on the consent agenda. Nothing.
Motion?
Second?
Student advisory vote?
Yay.
Maybe.
That's it? Okay. Action agenda. The complete written request to address the board shall be submitted by the beginning. Anybody submit that?
You don't have to read all that.
I don't have to read it.
No.
No, nobody submitted. Okay.
Motion
Then we'll go
on
to
11.
10-1, public comments related to action agenda. 10-2, 11-1, Board of Trustees, action agenda. Separate approval of items pulled from consent agenda, nothing. Second read, approval, board policy.
Okay, so this is where you guys usually do your break. By
Group
doing
these
a-
together.
You do a motion and a second, and then everybody votes verbally to Michelle, and we go down from 11-2 to 11.
Make a motion on 11-2 through 11-15.
Second.
11-15.
11-2
through
through 11-15.
Okay,
And then a
Trustee
vote, just
Tarpley,
a verbal vote.
verbal vote.
Tarpley.
Tarpley Wood.
And they can take a break.
Student advisor, yay.
Yeah, let's take a break before we do
Have a
this.
break. so
No,
she
after.
can
She-
combine.
Oh, after,
We need to vote
after.
first. Are
You
we
guys
all
gotta
yay?
vote first.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, we have to vote.
Did you guys?
He's already breaking.
I already said yay.
She did. She
I
said
thought we
it.
had to
All in
break
favor?
before we voted.
Aye.
Oh, shit, dude, fill mine out for me too.
So here, aye?
Aye.
Aye?
Oh, I thought she had to crunch them.
Why are you knocking me?
I was gonna raise my hand. What was the, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. That is the biggest.
We have four?
He went outside, I think.
Well, ooh, good job, Dennis.
Okay, we're ready to go. 8:01.
Good job, buddy.
Okay, where are we now?
We're at item 1116.
Board nominations.
CCC board nominations.
Yeah, around for like 12:30.
So this is where the board,
11:16.
this is where the board decides if they want to nominate someone to the CCC board. If you remember last year, I believe you nominated trustee Pinkerton. And you can nominate more than one, and then you run for the, if you're interested, you can run for the board.
But fun fact, we don't actually have to nominate anyone, right?
That's right.
We can
We don't
just
actually have to.
forego it.
No, we don't have to nominate anybody.
I mean, just a thought, guys, just a thought. No. No.
Nominate Jennifer.
So you want to pass, or do you want to do it again?
No, really?
She said no.
Not really? Okay.
Brandon, you interested?
No, the mock trial's killing me. We're still going.
And we don't have to
Lies.
nominate anybody, so,
That's
okay, we'll pass on it.
No.
So do we need a motion?
Motion,
Do we have to do any of that? Is it, it's on the action
do we
item.
need to vote on it? I'll make a motion that we don't.
So Henderson's a
May-
motion, I'll second.
And then you're going to come up for a vote on the screen.
Yay.
Student vote?
And
Okay,
this
everybody?
Motion by Henderson, second by Tarpley. Student advisory was yay. Real quiet like in the corner.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So 11:16?
All right. Did you vote?
Yeah, I just got it.
Now we're at 12.1.
12.1, approval of resolution number 2301, terminate emergency COVID-19 resolution number 2005.
So this is where the board gave me emergency powers. Now you're taking them away.
Yeah.
Motion.
Second?
Motion second. Trustee?
Yay.
We had a funny meeting.
Approval of 12.2, approval of resolution number 2302 to accept donated real property from Victor Valley Community College Foundation, Inc., for real property APN 3064-57109.
Motion?
Motion.
I hear two motions. Do I have a second?
Second.
So this is on the 5 acres that adjoin the 55 acres at 395 in Maine.
Right.
So it'll make it a 60-acre parcel.
Student advisory.
Dr. Walden,
Didn't.
did I miss something or I don't think I was asleep. Did the foundation give their report tonight?
We incorporated it
And
into,
incorporated with the other.
Oh, so I didn't hear anything about the upcoming event in February. Did I miss that?
The 25th,
Oh.
put it on your calendar.
Have somebody contact me because I made a comment last month. Somebody gave an anonymous $10,000 contribution and I didn't hear from anybody. Fred was here. You weren't here. So if you can't give me a call, I'll connect you to.
Okay, I had a motion and a second.
Student advisory.
Student advisory?
Yay.
When I heard the thing foundation, I thought, well, maybe we had the report and I wasn't listening.
because of the study session, we were trying to cut out as much as we could.
That's okay.
So 13.1, fiscal year 21-22 district financial audit. Yeah, we already had that.
Motion.
Second?
Yay.
All in favor?
Oh, you're gonna vote
Yeah, we're gonna.
Online.
on the screen.
Yeah, I know. Human Resources, 14.1, non-classified short-term employees.
Motion?
Second?
Any discussion?
Yay.
Good job.
Student? Okay. 14.2, revised management job classification for fiscal services supervisor.
Motion?
Second.
Discussion? Any,
Yay.
all in favor? Hit your buttons. Okay. 14.3, revised management job classification for public relations and marketing coordinator.
Motion?
Second?
Got a motion, and a second by Tarpley and Pinkerton.
Yay.
Dr. Walden, do you want to?
This was, I think, Monica, you might be able to, this came out of the cough study, right?
Yes, we're just making a minor change, so that it's not just the director of marketing that can provide direction, but another director.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
To broaden it, be able to use it in other areas.
Okay, great.
Got it. Okay. Student trustee,
Yay.
you said yay already.
Yeah. I was like, I think I already said yeah.
Voting's open.
Just making sure.
Thank you.
15.1, curriculum changes.
Motion?
Second.
Discussion?
Yay.
Okay. Student equity plan, 15.2.
Motion.
Second?
Got a motion and a second by
Wait,
Brady and
Hold on.
what?
It just took a minute, the electronics.
Just falling behind there a little bit.
did you get the motion in a second?
Second by Tarpley.
So the student equity plan, you had a presentation on that tonight. I thoroughly read this plan and was able to provide some feedback, but I thought it was very well written. When I first got here in 2019, they brought me the student equity plan, and it was like due that day or like the next day, something like that. And I sat down and I read it, and it was, I thought, a disaster. It was nothing but pages and pages of ideas. It was not a real plan, which, of course, we did get that kind of feedback from USC because the Chancellor's Office had them review it, as Malia pointed out tonight. Malia was the principal writer on this. I could definitely tell that we had someone who was a PhD student because she's currently working on her doctorate. She writes very well, and she was really on top of it. And so different ones of us provided feedback, but she produced a real usable, solid document that we can be proud of. And I just want to say we commend you, and you made us look really good. Thank you.
Getting your doctorate, huh?
And make them
Awesome.
call you doctor.
Okay, we're going straight to adjournment, looks like.
Yeah.
18.
Wait, they
We
gotta
need to
vote.
Do I have a
Gotta
motion
vote.
for adjournment?
You gotta vote first.
What?
Vote on the plan.
Oh, we voted on, didn't we vote on the plan?
Student advisory vote is yay.
Okay. All right, vote on the plan.
If I could make a suggestion before we leave, maybe next month we do our break at 7 versus 10 minutes before we're going to
We had to
adjourn.
do
Yeah,
it
yeah,
so
yeah.
that we could condense
Yeah,
all
I
that, so
get it.
that's a Michelle break.
But you don't have any of those for next month.
And we don't have any, so yes. that
So,
would
yeah, we
work.
could do that.
So that
no
works
break.
really well.
No
We'll see
break.
what we
Let's
can
just
do.
push through.
We'll remind, maybe you could put that on the notes for Dennis.
Oh. Did we
and
motion
me.
and
I could
second
help
adjournment?
remind him.
You're
All
telling
right.
the wrong
We
sister.
adjourn?
Break it to
Sister.
seven.
Adjourn?
That makes sense.
Or maybe we're done at 7:30, don't need it.
Anyway,
Did we adjourn?
and we could break at 8:30
And a motion and second.
just leave at 7.
Motion
How
to
about-
adjourn,
Second.
everybody.
Pick one.
Okay, adjourned. Have a nice night.
This is what they like.